Oh, it's actually not bad. I just have a totally unrelated headache. What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Toast Hammer. In the past week, two major things have happened. First, we got spoilers for the new Admech Codex, and second, we got 1,000 subscribers on the Toast Hammer channel. That's wild. I never thought it would happen. But because of these momentous occasions, I have a special announcement to make. Nah, get that out of there. I'm not asking for money. I'm opening the official Toast Hammer Discord. Check out the link below and join the community. So, this past week, we got our first look into the new Adeptus Mechanicus Codex for 10th edition, and it's got some juice in it. We're going to go over the good, the bad, and the ugly, but first I do want to explain I don't have access to the codex itself. I'm with the rest of you guys. No professional working relationship with Games Workshop, no early pre-release copies. I'm just going by what everybody else has seen thus far. So let's start off with the good. The good news is, well, there's kind of a lot of good news. The new detachment options, all 5 of them, seem to be really well balanced in terms of giving players both options to suit their desired playstyles, as well as the tools required to execute those playstyles on the tabletop. It's really hard to determine which detachment of the 5 available is actually the best, and I think that's a really good thing. That means that there's been a lot of attention paid to the way these detachments were constructed, and none of them are clearly overshadowing the others. This is good internal balance for this portion of the codex, something that we have been severely lacking this edition. And also, the Omnipulus, the fancy combination of a Tech Priest Manipulus and the Omnis Sterilizer enhancement, is gone, which is good. It was unhealthy for the game, it was not fun to play, it was not fun to play against, but you had to take it as an Admech player because the other tools in your toolbox were not good enough to keep up with the rest of the armies. If you want a vehicle-heavy list, you can go with the Cohort Cybernetica. Don't pay attention to that cybernetic part, don't trust their lies. If you want Skitarii, the Hunter Cohort might be more suited to your fancy, or if you're heavy on the Cult Mechanicus side, then the Detachments Conclave should be able to give you the tools that you need. There's also the Rad Zone Cohort, as well as the Explorator Maniple, which are more mixed arms, general purpose detachments that each have their own strengths depending on the playstyle that you prefer. All in all, most of these detachments and their bonuses, enhancements, stratagems, vary in terms of power level. Sometimes the detachment rule is really strong, other times the detachment rule basically doesn't exist, but it makes up for it in things like stratagem. So overall, I think all of these detachments, I think, potentially could see tournament play, depending on how the next part is sorted out. Let's talk about the bad. Unfortunately, this is kind of where the good internal balance ends. Our data slates do get some nice buffs to some certain units, but the internal balance is still kind of out of whack. There's been rumors of a data slate happening around the same time as the codex actually releasing, so that could fix some of the issues, but breachers are still at least a 6 of in I think every list at this point, which is a little bit annoying. And other units like Rust Stalkers, Destroyers, things of that nature are still just kind of left on the cutting room floor. So it's not great in terms of what you can actually bring unit-wise still, and some of the units are only surviving on the bonuses that their specific detachments bring, which is getting into the final portion of this sort of first impressions. The ugly. This is something that I don't see talked about a lot, or at least I haven't seen it talked about personally, but this codex is especially punishing to new players entering the collection or mid to early level players with their collection like myself. I have just about 2,000 points of Admech available, and that is between a broad range of Scutari models, Cult Mechanicus models, Castellan robots, which are now Cybernetica models. And the issue is there aren't really detachments that will let me field all of them and feel good about it. Let me explain. Almost every single detachment in this codex is a heavily SKU-based list involving a small portion, a subset of our available datasheets to be all kind of crammed into one army list, taking the maximum amounts of the best types of units. This is referred to as a SKU army list. This seems to have been a pattern in 10th edition codexes thus far, with Space Marines also having several SKU options, and Tyranid seems to have followed suit. However, those codexes have units that can also just kind of stand on their own without the help of their detachments, which means you can bring them even if they're not the optimal choice to the detachment to even your list out a little bit. The issue with Admech is our datasheets aren't quite good enough for us to carry over suboptimal units when we need all of the buffing our detachments can give to the units that allow them to be buffed. That means that people who are just kind of on the cusp of collecting a full army or are getting into the hobby are forced to buy even more models, surprise, surprise, or eventually go into a SKU position that they might not want to be into because it doesn't represent a balanced collection. You're only collecting one side of a many-faceted army at that point, and it can be boring to construct, paint, and so forth. Overall, I also think it's a little bit unhealthy for the game to be promoting such skewed, SKU-heavy lists. It promotes unbalanced play, whether you're either bringing all vehicles, and that's just a stat check for your opponent to beat, or you're overwhelming them with a horde of infantry, which is just a different stat check. Hopefully some points changes, some balance changes to the datasheets can help alleviate this issue. As I did mention, there are a couple of general purpose detachments in Admech, but they're not quite as good as the SKU ones, or so it seems. A lot is still remaining to be seen, with points not yet available, with a potential data slate not yet available. This is very just early speculation, but it's where I find myself sitting receiving the news. Overall, way better than the Index. I'm super happy with our detachments, and I'm super happy that they all seem plausibly powerful given maybe some slight balance tweaks in the sheets themselves. Way better standing. I feel like I can hopefully bring Admech off the shelves in 10th edition again. Just gotta see where those points end up first. But if you enjoyed this video, which I very much hope you did, feel free to give it a subscribe. I will be covering further Admech news as it becomes available. And also, hey, check out that Discord. Link down below. If you did enjoy the video, also consider giving it a like. It helps the channel out a lot. And what do you think of the new codex? What's your favorite detachment? Let me know in the comments below. And stay tuned for next week, because I got a new kind of special video coming right at you. Until next time, peace.